The last time you had a cheeseburger or mac and cheese, what was the color of the cheese in it? It wasn't white for sure, it was orange yellowish, right? But have you wondered why? After all, cheese is made from milk, and we all know what color milk is. So why is most cheese orange or yellow and not white? Well, that's because we've been lied to our whole lives by marketers, and in this video, we will uncover the real reason behind it. But before we begin, let's quickly understand how cheese is really made. Yes, it starts with milk. But not just any milk. This milk comes from animals like goats, sheep, cows, and buffaloes. And what do all of these animals have in common? They eat grass, like a lot of grass. And back in the 1200s and 1300s, sheep were actually the main source of milk for cheese. But there was a problem. Sheep weren't good multitaskers. They could either give you wool or they could give you milk, but not both efficiently. So over time, cows and buffaloes became the top choice for dairy production. And that shift changed everything, including the color of your cheese. You see, cows don't just eat grass. They absorb something from it that goats don't. It's called beta-carotene, the same compound that gives carrots and sweet potatoes their vibrant orange color. When cows graze on fresh, lush spring grass, beta-carotene ends up in their milk, and eventually in the cheese made from it. That's why some cheese naturally turns a golden yellow or light orange. But here's the issue. Beta-carotene levels in grass change with the seasons. In the spring, it's high. In the fall and winter, not so much. So the cheese made during the spring had a richer color and was seen as better in quality. And over time, people started associating yellow-orange cheese with better taste and higher value. And as a result, the demand for this premium cheese grew. But there was another problem that cheesemakers faced. You see, unlike sheep's milk, cow's milk was excellent for producing cream, the rich stuff that gets churned into butter. And back then, butter was far more valuable than cheese. So what did cheesemakers do? They started skimming the cream off the top of the milk before making cheese, to sell it separately as butter. But as they did so, most of the beta-carotene, that golden compound from the grass, would get concentrated in the cream. So when they removed it, they ended up with rich yellow butter and pale, almost white cheese. That was a problem, because now the cheese looked cheap, even if it wasn't. And that's where the marketing came in. Cheesemakers realized that if they colored their cheese with natural food coloring, after they've extracted cream, they could trick people into believing that their cheese was higher quality. So they began adding natural color to their cheese to mimic the rich hue of springtime milk. In the 1400s and 1500s, they experimented with ingredients like saffron and marigold petals. But those were too expensive to use at scale and make a profit. And eventually, cheesemakers found out about the annatto seeds. Native to South America and exported to Europe in huge quantities, annatto was the perfect solution. Not only had it a much stronger color than saffron and other food colors at the time, it worked beautifully in food. And best of all, it was cheap. So cheese markers started adding color to their cheese by either applying it on the cheese surface or adding it to the milk while preparing cheese, which produced an orange-yellowish cheese even if the cheese wasn't made by a cow who ate grass full of beta-carotene. And that is the real reason why the cheese that you find at the grocery store today has its signature yellow-orange color. It's not because of nature, it's not because of tradition, it's because of centuries-old marketing and our brains being trained to associate color with quality. Even today, most cows are factory farmed and don't graze on beta-carotene-rich grass. So, by all logic, most cheese should be pale or white. But we've come to expect that rich, golden color, and cheesemakers continue to add dye to meet that expectation. So, the next time you unwrap a slice of cheddar or scoop into mac and cheese, realize that it's mostly food coloring that's giving its orange-yellow color. If you learned something new, hit that like button, subscribe for more.